In this video, we're going to install lowering foot pegs from JNS Engineering and also a Core Enduro foot peg by IMS products. So one of the biggest problems with the 3rd generation KLR is these foot pegs. They're fine if you're just going to use the bike for commuting, but as soon as you stand up on them, because they've added these rubber dampeners, they tend to lean down, and they're not very confidence inspiring. In addition, even though this lever has been extended, the clutch lever for I think 2023, it used to be shorter. You can tell even with big enduro boots, you have to get down quite a long ways to shift up. It's possible, but not the most comfortable thing. So thanks to JNS Engineering, they found a solution. So we'll end up replacing this one with a much lower one, and that'll help open up this distance so it'll be more comfortable when you're riding with enduro boots. So replacing this bracket with the lowering bracket should be as simple as just removing these two bolts here. On the factory one, they're 12 millimeter. If ours looks a little different than yours, it's because we've already added a JNS center stand, and these bolts are a little longer, and they're also 13 millimeter heads. So let's remove those. All right, and again, this isn't going to be on yours because this is our JNS center stand. So you can see how much lower those are already. They claim it's about an inch lower. So JNS Engineering also supplies bolts that are going to be a little shorter because the distance between all of this rubber mounting and their mount is much smaller. So the bolts will be a little shorter. However, it's not going to work for us because we have this extended section here because we have the center stand. So we're just going to use the bolts that came with the center stand when we put on the JNS one. Okay, thread that bolt. And the second bolt. Now we'll just tighten everything down. So while we're on the side, we're going to replace the foot peg. IMS Products Core Enduro. When you open it up, it looks just like this. Comes with cool stickers, of course the pegs, and 2 springs. So we're over here on the clutch side. You're going to get this peg here and then align the spring so it looks like this. And it should sit in just like that. And we're going to use the clips that came with the stock pegs to lock everything down. So that's as simple as just removing this with a screwdriver, inserting it in, and then pushing it through again. Pop out that little retaining pin, boink boink, and then just pull out the pin. I'm just going to throw a little bit of grease on them. And if you can't read this, it's because it's in German, but it's basically bearing grease. I'll just put a little bit right here. We got some leftover from when we were in Europe. All right, make sure it's lined up well. And then insert the pin from the top. Come on. There we go. Now we'll put the little retaining pin right there. Push it on. Make sure it's seated. There you go. Easy peasy. to move on to the throttle side. Starting with the lowering pegs. Same thing, remove these two bolts. And again, if you're wondering why ours looks different, it's because we have this JNS attachment here and here. Okay. While we're here, we'll just pull the pin. There you go. Push it through. Line everything up. And there you go. Okay. So now we're going to install the peg. A little bit of grease. So the peg installs just like this with the spring. Line it up. Okay. Insert the pin. And finally insert the pin retainer. So let's get our boots on and check them out. So let's try them out. As you can see, you don't have to go down so low. Much more comfortable. Before I was having to lean really far forward to shift. So when I stand on the pegs too, you notice solid, man, no flex. Get rid of those rubber dampeners. Much more confidence inspiring. The other advantage of lowered pegs is that before with the original pegs, I actually considered a bar riser. But with these lowered pegs 1 inch lower, I feel like it's very comfortable. I'm 5'10", and I don't think we have to add bar risers. I think this is really comfortable for standing. So the lowering pegs actually are great. They've fixed the clutch side. We got plenty of room there. However, there's a problem on the brake side. Let's look at that. So as you can see, when you're standing on the pegs, to me, the front brake pedal is just a little too tall. So we're going to adjust that. So the first thing we'll do is use the 5mm Allen, and we'll remove this cover, giving us access to all the adjustments we need. We've got 2 bolts here. They come out pretty easily. Make sure you check the spacer, the little spacer there. Don't lose that. There you go. So with the cover off now, you got access to this section here where you can adjust how high this brake pedal is, high or low. And then as also here, this little spring, that goes to the electric limit switch that determines when the brake light should come on or off. All right, so there's a little holding nut here, 12mm. We'll loosen that first. And then the adjustment nut is underneath this boot. In our case, we want to lower it, so we're going to rotate the nut clockwise. Rotate it clockwise until it gets to the right position. Clockwise is going to lower it, counterclockwise is going to raise it. So now we've adjusted this nut, we've lowered this lever, or sorry, we've lowered the pedal, and we're making it so it's about horizontal. which should work for me. Depending on your comfort level, you might want it lower or higher, but for me, horizontal will be just fine. And don't forget to tighten this lock nut. There you go. So now that we've adjusted the brake pedal, typically sometimes it'll mess up the limit switch. So we're going to test that out to see if it works. So let's turn on the ignition. So now we're going to look at the brake light. We're going to push the brake in, and notice the brake light actually comes on when you push it, and when you release it, it goes off. So depending on the adjustment, you might have an issue where when you adjust the brake pedal that you find out that the brake light is always on, and you don't want that. But it looks like we lucked out. The adjustments we made are just fine. The brake light functions just perfectly. Now, we didn't have a problem, but if you did, this is where you adjust. You just basically move this little plastic nut back or forth, and that's going to move this whole section up or down, and that's going to adjust your limit switch. So if you have a problem, check that out. So now that we've got everything adjusted, let's see how it fits. Much better. Yeah, I like that much better. So now the last part is just to put the cover back on. So line it up and put the 2 bolts in. And tighten them down. Make sure the spacers line up. There you go. Tighten them. Give them not too tight, just tight enough so they don't fall out. So there you go. That's how you adjust your brake pedal. Not too hard. So if you install lowering pegs like we did, chances are you're going to have to adjust that brake pedal. Hopefully your limit switch is going to be okay, but if it's not, then you just adjust your limit switch with that little plastic nut. Easy peasy. So if you're interested in more KLR modifications, make sure you subscribe, like, and hit the bell icon so you can be notified of future updates.